Rosewood branches, replace roots instantly.
Member FDIC.
Listen to The Point anytime, anywhere on Odyssey. Odyssey is your new audio home for all the music, news, sports, and podcasts that matter to you. Find your favorite stations like The Point and discover more. Music stations, local and trusted news sources, sports talk and team coverage, plus today's biggest podcasts. Find it all on the Odyssey app. AUDACY.
Hi, this is Jerry Roberts. What's happening in the workplace? What about your job and career? What ideas will find their way into your world? That's what you get with The Extra Point every day on The Ray Gibson Show here on 93.3 FM. Sometimes it's about what's in the news, or working relationships, or how to get further and do better. I try to make it interesting, inspiring, and hopefully sneak a little fun in too. Be a part of it. 7:25 weekday mornings. The Extra Point, brought to you by First Hawaiian Bank.
It's the Veterans with Benefits program here on KUSG The Point with your hosts Anthony and Corinna.
Line's busy.
Here we go.
Half a day, we are back. Jose, we have a caller trying to call in, but he said the line is busy.
We got it.
Okay, you got it. Okay, welcome everyone. Today is April 29th. You can call in at 671-888-TALK. We are on 93.3. First, we're going to thank our sponsors. Oh, Anthony. Gosh, I'm Karina, and this is...
Hi, I'm Anthony. I also wanted to say hi to Aaliyah and Knox.
Oh, yay. And then our sponsors, Ambrose, American Legion. Next week, right? Oh, no, the week after next. Is the second Saturday?
Yes.
Okay.
Weekend of...
Because every second Saturday they do steak day.
That's right.
At American Legion in Timoning. Yes. And then Noko'oi, a veteran-owned business. And then Guam Eco Surfaces, Hebzibah Clinic, 11Z's. They're right behind the radio station, Upper Tumon, and they also have a second location in the mall. Second floor near the food court. Oh, and they offer a 11% veterans discount, right? Oh, yes. Military and veterans.
Yeah. So if you're a military and veteran, get down there.
Yes. And then Motion Tide, another veteran-owned company. And then Vic Gaza is our sponsor. Vic Gaza for Senator, our sponsor. So I just want to talk about the events for the week, because once we get talking, I don't think we're ever gonna touch on it, because we get so busy on this radio, on this show. We get so busy we don't even get to talk about these things. So we wrapped up Boot Camp 28. We only had 20 registered. When we got there, 37 showed up, which is great. So that was in Agate. Thank you to Matt Truffris, Mark Truffris, Mayan Truffris, and Ray Arceo for organizing the event.
And for the mayor and vice mayor for allowing us to use the center.
Yes, it was a great turnout.
Yes, the people of Agate really enjoyed it, and it's been a long time coming.
Oh, it was.
The mayor said we could come down anytime now.
Yes, he did.
So,
and then the very next day we had chatting with the coach. We assisted over 30-some veterans, standing room only, 10 a.m. to almost 11 p.m.
That's correct.
Yes. And then we have Boot Camp 29 coming up in PD. PD, where's it at in PD? PD Social Hall?
Yeah, there's a social hall there. I think it's in between it's by the church. It's the one, most of the folks that go down there know it's at. If you're standing by the church, it's to the left of it, kind of behind the mayor's office.
And that's May 6, 7, and 8 from 5:30 to 9 p.m. And then we have our fundraiser coming up May 11th at veteran-owned bar Good Company in Ganya, right across Boat Basin, May 11. Send me a message if you want to support our fundraiser. That is on May 11th, starting at 5:30. Then what is this? Oh, save the date. October 5th, we're going to have our Veteran of the Year, because 2024 is the year of the Veteran Golf Tournament. October 5th, we're having our golf fundraiser. And then May 6th next week, we're going to have Phil Santos on air from Armed Forces Committee. And then May 13, we're going to have Toru Guam on air. And then Veteran of the Week. Veteran of the Week is Ben Kirigua. So let's congratulate Benny Kirigua for Veteran of the Week. So he was drafted. Yes. Drafted into the Army January 2nd, 1964. He went to Fort Ord, California for basic and combat training. After that, he was assigned to the 4th Infantry Division at Fort Lewis, which is now Joint Base Lewis McChord. And then he PCS to the 7th Infantry Division in South Korea. And then he was discharged in 1965. And then in May of 74, he enlisted into the 411 Engineer Combat Heavy as a heavy equipment operator. And he was, and then he left service in 1977. And he assists veterans, and he's an advocate for veterans, and he volunteers his time, and he assists us. So let's congratulate Benny Kirigua for Veteran of the Week.
Yay!
And then we want to introduce our guest.
Yes. And we also have a caller.
Oh, and we have a
but
caller.
Let's introduce the guest first.
Let's introduce the guest. Are you going to have him introduce himself?
Yes, let's have
Okay.
him. It's a very interesting gentleman.
Well, good evening. I was very privileged to be able to meet Veterans with Benefits in the organization, and I'm Dr. Brian Cregan. I practice here locally. I'm not from Guam, but now I'm a Guam transplant and plan to stay here for quite some time. It's our honor and privilege to be able to serve the local community both at the clinic and in their homes as a house call provider. They don't see many of them, but we sure like to do it.
I'm sorry, you got to move.
Oh, you got to move it closer, like this close. Way close.
Oh, no.
Or
Let's
try
do-
close.
Let's try this.
Okay.
Move it closer to you.
The mic, like
There you
pull
go.
the mic to you, yes. Okay.
There you go.
There we go. Much better.
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you now. Did you want to do that again?
Yeah. So let's hear again. You didn't tell us. Are you a veteran?
Yes, my road to veteran status came from actually sleeping in the back seat of a car while studying for the military entrance exam, because at that time I was homeless at age 17. And I decided one way to get education and get ahead in life is with the military. And thank God to the military for letting me in after I passed the test, and kept telling the Army, hey, I want medicine. They sent me to artillery. I asked for medicine. They sent me to Fort Stewart and weapons training. So I had to join the Coast Guard to get sent to any medical training. And, of course, that's where I spent the last of my career, was as a medic in the Coast Guard. As a veteran, I had to fight for a lot of years to get the benefits that this organization is already doing for the disabled and able veterans in this area. And the exciting part is many of us don't know that it's out there. I personally fought 16 years to get my rights as a veteran, and I should have been 100% discharged from the military, but I didn't know. So veterans, get out there, educate yourself, find out what's there before you leave the active duty service. Find an organization like this. If it wasn't for the blessings of this kind of organization and American Legion, I would have never known that I could have been 100% retired before leaving the military. But the VA stood in and helped out, and the American Legion provided an attorney and the kind of the roadmap, like your organization, to get a veteran from 0 status to 100 status when it's so needed and so necessary. The road is full of potholes for veterans, and if they don't have an educational or a road plan like you guys provide for them, they'll be without the care they desperately need. And on Guam, we know the veterans need care.
Yeah, and I know you haven't told us everything that you do, and it was really an honor for me to bump into you. And by the way, that was just by chance. We were out doing outreach, and you were up at the mall, and I just pegged you out, and he said, "Hey, I think that guy's a veteran. Are you a veteran?" And then you came by, told us about who you are and everything. And I think now we've started another part of trying to learn what we all do. But before we get into that, we're going to save a little time. Now we got Bobby, and Bobby's calling in from the congressman's office, and we'll get him online, and we're going to have to get our headsets on, and we'll have him talk to our crowd out there. So hang on real quick. Bobby, you still there?
Tony, yes, yeah.
All right. Hey, thanks for calling in. We have Dr. Cregan here. He's one of the folks that we learned is, helping our veterans out here. But I know you have some good news for us, so we'd like to hear it. Fire away.
You're kind of...
Are you there?
I'm here. Yeah.
Okay.
Let me try to go to another area. Maybe. Okay. Yeah. Now it seems a lot more clear.
Okay. There you go. And just so if you could just let everyone know you're calling from the congressman's office and, what you have to offer.
Sure. Well, yeah, absolutely. Name is Bobby Stringy, the Chief of Staff for Congressman Jim Moylan. And I wanted to, of course, well, first of all, I do want to say for the Veteran of the Week, Mr. Kittigwa, congratulations.
All right.
Yeah, and it's always great to hear these stories of these veterans, and particularly, if you look at yesteryear at a time in an era where things such as a draft were realities, right, of the time. It's always, inspiring rather to hear their stories and what they've endured. So congratulations to Mr. Kittigwa, and thank you for your service. So, what do we want to talk about today? There's a lot of things.
All right.
Is there any questions you want to? Is there any specific area, Tony, Karina, that you wanted me to go into, and I can start with her.
Maybe we'll work right now, like what's more recent. So it looks like you had a Codell come in, and you had an article in the paper. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Okay, so we were fortunate to have a congressional delegation visit Guam late last week. It was a short, brief trip as part of an Indo-PACOM tour that two committee chairs were leading. One being the chairman of the House Committee on Veterans Affairs, Representative Mike Bost, out of Illinois, I believe. Yeah, Illinois. Okay. And the other one being Congressman Sam Graves from Missouri. He's the chairman of the Committee on Transportation and Infrastructure. So we've, one thing with the Congressman Moylan is he's built these great relationships throughout Congress, and those are vital in terms of getting Codells to touch down here on Guam. And the importance of having Codells is that it's one thing to hear stories of a district. It's also one thing to do your research and say, hey, this district is known for this, and this district is known for these issues or these problems. And it's another to actually visit it. So these conversations have been ongoing on their Indo-PACOM routes and decided to stop over here. And what was intriguing specifically for veterans, we had a very influential member of Congress here on Guam when it comes to veterans issues, and he actually brought key staffers from the committee. A staff director is equivalent to a chief of staff. They actually push a lot of they actually lead a lot of the policy within the committee, along with the deputy staff director, and there was also Congressman Both, chief of staff. So we spent the morning, Friday morning, visiting the Naval Hospital, the CBOC, just to kind of understand some of the issues. And we did issue a press release today talking about some good positive developments. The opportunity for the group to meet with the CBOC and actually look at the situation, not just the condition of the structure. I mean, there's obviously the first reaction as the bus was entering the Naval Hospital property was, are you kidding me? This little facility is in charge of the tens of thousands or the thousands of veterans on Guam in terms of their health care. And then, of course, things such as the limitations on, the challenges they have with staffing, the challenges they have. I mean, your prescription medication comes out of a vending machine. And there were a litany of issues. And so the first reaction was, okay, well, what is the Hawaii DVA office doing or not doing for Guam? Yeah. Right? And because a lot of the way these things are structured, sort of we're in this little umbilical cord. So the first step that they want to take, as soon as the debriefing take place in D.C. Later this week, is looking into an oversight hearing to ask the questions and ask that Hawaii, the DVA, what are we doing for Guam? These guys have seen it firsthand. They saw the conditions. They saw what are we doing with it, and from there, it's sort of a process in terms of, okay, well, DVA, well, how much more do you need then? If this is a problem, as you see, what are we going to do about it? And why aren't you asking for the funding? It's no different than the legislative process here. I remember our 4 years in the legislature. If Tony doesn't ask for the funds, Tony is not going to get the funds because the legislature can't force the funds on you.
Yeah,
and it's a very similar situation.
And with something like this too, right, Bobby? You know, it's one thing, right, for us to say, okay, we're going to go back to Congress and try to ask for something, and I get that, and I understand that's the way the wheels of this process turn, right? They can be very slow.
Correct.
Now, my question becomes, in the interim, right? We can't just kind of neglect it, right? We got to put something there, because here's what I'm feeling, and I'm starting to kind of get a different idea about, okay, we're saying there's an issue, but we haven't put a fix in place to kind of handle what that challenge might be. Because here we are saying, okay, this is a challenge. We're going to Congress and we're going to ask them to fix it. That might take a little while.
We're not going to ask them to fix it. No. We're not going to ask them to fix it. We're going to Congress so that we can get the process going so that DVA can seek the additional funding.
Right.
Some of these issues can be addressed.
Yeah. So,
and we're not just looking at short-term banning solutions. We're looking at long-term solutions.
Right. And by the way, that wasn't a challenge on any part of what we're talking about. It kind of like, you know, when you have the police department, right, for example, and you know they're two different things, but when the police department is asking for overtime, okay, that's painful for both sides, because now the legislature has to go look for money because there's overtime, and we're like, why are you operating at a higher budget, and why are you paying overtime when you should be hiring new people to fill those slots? So here's the thing. Right now, if you talk about the challenges and issues we have on Guam, I'm wondering, is there a way, and this is just, we're asking a question, right? We're starting a conversation. Can we get the VA people to be working overtime so that the VA sees that there is a challenge and we're paying so much more for overtime because there's work that needs to be done? And by the way, if they're paid, I'm not saying that they have to. I'm trying to use the same example of a police officer making overtime and the government looking in and say, hey, wait a minute, that's a lot of money we're paying to that, and why aren't we working this out? So if we're not doing the same thing, and two totally different governments, I get it, two different processes, but if we are not inserting some sort of painful reminder that we're spending way too much money on what's going on out there, and by the way, to a fault, we want that to be that, hey, we sent Joe and Mary to fly to Hawaii 5 times because we screwed up, not at the expense of the veteran, where they deny them flying out because they think it feels good for them because they want to save money, and it's the veteran's fault when the date of arriving in Hawaii is the date that they're supposed to be leaving, and now we're like, hey, you'll get your message when we get it to you, and by the way, you're not flying out until yesterday. Oh, wait a minute. That's your yesterday, and you're not here, and then the veteran gets in trouble because they didn't fly out on the right time. But at the end of the day, it shouldn't be that the veteran is the one that's going to be charged or have the problem. Fly them out. I don't care if it's 20 million times and you pay that bill because you don't have the hospital and the services. Fly them until you're broke.
Completely. So I see where your point is.
Yeah.
And these are isolated situations which obviously shouldn't exist.
Yes.
But here's the reality. We need to dig. If you're saying, is there an immediate fix to this? I don't have that answer for you at this point.
Yeah.
But what I do have for you is how a process would have to work. Right now, I'm actually working on letters to get some RFIs on increase on, you know, what's the count of veterans in Hawaii? What is the amount that we're spending on airline tickets? You know, I'm trying to assemble as much data as possible so we have real compelling arguments on as to why. Do I believe our umbilical cord from Hawaii is going to be cut anytime soon? I highly doubt it. And that was very clearly put on the table last week. But how do we work around it? How do we possibly advocate for adjudicating claims here on Guam? I understand in a conversation I had earlier with another veteran that the Philippines still has an adjudication office, and I'm trying to gather information. What are the registered count of U.S. veterans in the Philippines? Compare that to Guam. what are we looking at our numbers from the outright? There's a lot of data that needs to kind of come together, and
Yes.
unfortunately, this is not something that's going to be solved.
Oh, yes,
overnight.
no.
But we need to look for a long-term solution to improving that service overall. For example, I just learned today that, and excuse me, I want to say thank you to all the veterans out there. Yeah. Myself, I have not worn a uniform, so I can't truly put myself in your position. However, what I can say is that, there's things that I'm hearing, and it's horrific. I mean, I learned today that the VBA would pay for your airline ticket to Hawaii for medical care. However, it won't go further if that medical care isn't available in Hawaii.
That's true.
Yes, that's correct.
And that is
it's unfortunate.
And guess what they told me? They told me, oh, no, we're denying you. If you want, challenge us on it. That we don't have it in Guam, we don't have it in Hawaii, but we're not sending you to California. So, I said, first of all, right, it just tells me a little bit about that. Now, and we're not here to just kind of bring out all these issues, right? What we want to do is also talk about some of the great things that we've been doing, right? So I wanted that to also be,
because I want to say thank you for that.
And here's the thing, right? And our communication line has been great, and I wanted our veterans to know that, because every opportunity that we've had, I know that you've responded to some of these things, and even with that, I know there's still more that needs to be done, right? When I say that, we reached out on a few things that we could touch on, right? Like, number one, we can talk about the Naval Hospital MOU that's been in existence that we've...
By the way, that conversation also came out last week.
Very good.
That the wheels are certainly in motion.
Okay.
We're working. In fact, I'm actually communicating with them to see how soon these things. And there's going to obviously be some push there, because you're dealing now with DOD and DVA, two separate aid departments. And I think you and I had this conversation once where in recent history, it hasn't been the best of relationships.
Right.
However, in this particular case, the push is going to take place. I'm glad that Codell came here, because I'm working on a congressional letter with the members that were here, so we could actually all kind of come together and say, hey, DOD, DVA, we need for you guys to be on par on this one. So wheels are in motion, and it looks like DOD is very interested in pursuing this. Now the ball is in the hands of the DVA.
That's good. And we also shared the press release you sent out about the Codell's visit. So we can, the listeners, if you want to read it, or if you're not in. So HMI manages a lot of WhatsApp chats, and we sent it out that way. But we can also send it to the radio station, and we can give it to our producer, Jose, and he can push that out. But if you're just joining online, because a lot of people are just joining, I see online, we have the Office of Congressman Moylan Online, Bobby Shrinji, sharing information about the Codell's visit and more.
Yes, and even though we have these things that we're working on, right? It seems, right, Bobby, that we're in contact quite a bit about, hey, what about this? What about that? And there's no shortage of work that needs to get done out here.
There isn't.
And I think we're doing as best we can, but I'm sure there's.
This is an issue that's sort of it's a community-wide issue. Like you say, the old-fashioned statement saying it's going to take a village to raise a child. Yeah. This is what this is, because there isn't one specific issue. If we resolve, for example, and I'm just throwing it out there, the airline issue, well, guess what? We still need to resolve, well, why don't we have this type of specialty care here, or this type of specialty care, or why can't we? It's an endless issue, but I think collectively, we just all have to do our part. The organizations are doing their part. I said it during the last oversight hearing at the legislature that the enrollment numbers of the VHA benefits, that needs to increase. And that's going to take a village to make it happen. Because we can't ask for nicer toys if we don't have the numbers. In DVA side, we have 5,170 some enrollees. These are not registered veterans. These are enrollees under the VHA. If we could increase those numbers for the right reasons, well, guess what? Now we have justification into why we need a veteran medical center out here.
Well, and
inpatient services.
And to add to that a little, right, Bobby? Just remember, right, the the person that represents the larger share of the veterans that are Americans out here in this region is actually Jim Moylan, who is the only person they can come to and represent them, because that's from us. And these people are coming to Guam to take advantage of services. So I believe that if that's going to be the case, and I think it was kind of mentioned a little bit in the release that you did from the Codell, but that needs to be made known. I mean, there are, I want to say 30,000 is what the last count was out in Japan, in one portion of Japan. And these folks are coming to Guam to get services, but yet I think those numbers are being picked up in Hawaii. And, you know, I love our folks in Hawaii, but they already got their brand new hospital or clinic, whatever they want to call it. But if we can get something like that, that would be nice too. And by the way, these folks don't want to fly to Hawaii. They want to come to Guam, because flying to Hawaii is a lot longer than it is for them to fly from Asia into Guam, which is 3 to 4 hours. And they've already made that known.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it's the same argument that we're using with the COFA migrants, not necessarily the COFA migrants, the veterans who live in the COFA nations, because they look at Guam as that hub. You know, it's a 3.5 hour flight. It's not less from any of the FSM islands to Guam. Same with Palau. So if you're a veteran out there, you're not flying to Hawaii for that medical care. And I don't care how much in millions of dollars that the federal government is going to be giving these nations for, as far as the COFA agreement goes, they're still seeking the health care here on Guam. We are the hub of this region.
Yes.
We are the hub for the CEA residents. We are the hub.
Hey, Bobby, we're going to go on break. If you want to hang on, we can continue on the other side of the break, and then we'll go from there. Thank you, sir.
You got it. No problem.
All right.
Walk down the aisle into Choice Broadcasting and Lotte Hotel's Island Wedding Expo. So if you're a couple planning for that special day, come over. One lucky couple will have a chance to win a round-trip ticket to Japan, courtesy of United Airlines, a free engagement photo shoot, and so much more. Come browse through our amazing sponsor booths: United Airlines, The Glam Shop, R. Lewis Weddings, Payless Floral, Isla Jewelry, Weddings by Jane, Elle's Bridal, Finch Jewelers, Michaela Winters Photography, Weddings by Cha, The Occasion, Rustic Poppy Photography, Stelstar Productions, DJ Stewart, and Perfect View 360. Did I mention it's open to the public? Yes, free. Mark the date, May 19th. Doors open at 9 a.m. till 3 p.m. at the Lotte Hotel Crystal Ballroom. It's the Island Wedding Expo, a Choice Broadcasting event.
Fox Facts. From ham and cheese to peanut butter and jelly, sandwiches have been enjoyed in various forms for thousands of years. It was often ordered simply as meat and bread or cheese and bread. The term sandwich has only been used to describe this food since the late 18th century. It originated from English politician John Montagu, the 4th Earl of Sandwich, who was an avid gambler. Legend has it that in 1762 he was so engrossed in a card game that he requested his meat be served between 2 slices of bread. This allowed him to continue playing without using utensils or getting greasy fingers. Others, seeing this clever idea, began ordering, quote, the same as sandwich, eventually shortening it to just sandwich. The concept caught on and the name stuck, evolving into the common term we use today for this portable and versatile food item. Matt Murphy, Fox News.
And we're back. So we were, I think we still have Bobby on the line. I'm just going to say hi to those listening to us online. We have Joanne Fullerton online. Hi, Joanne. We have Scott D online. Hello. Hi, Jessicino. And then Narina Tyron says, hi, Papa. We have Lonnie Clark watching. Hi, Lonnie. And then we have Gil Duenas, Ray Timinglo, Armelin. Hi, Armelin. We have Amy Jackson. Hello. We have Tito. And then Dwayne Pareto. Brendan Fausto says, let's go, veteran warriors. We have Jana Lou Salvador watching. Rose Santiago. Marvin Crisostomo, half a day veterans. And then Robert Kelly. I think it would be best to have Naval Hospital pick up the mission and give an extra funding and include the veteran medical services, both inpatient and outpatient. Expanding that facility with extra funding and staff is easier than building a new hospital. Hello, Robert Kelly. Are you on island?
He's one of the guys who started us coming over here.
Yeah.
Hi, Robert. Hi, Bob.
And it is we still have
Yeah, we still have Bobby.
Okay. Go ahead.
You still there, Bobby? Hello?
Yes, I am.
Okay. So we also have in studio with us is Dr. Cregan, and maybe we'll have him just say a few words before we get you to continue, just so that he doesn't seem like he's not participating.
Hey, Bobby, how you doing? One of the things we've wonderful about here in Guam is one of our luxuries of where I work for is we like to get out in the field and actually visit the patients at their homes and deliver the care there in their homes. And many of the, say, 60 to 80 house calls I do in a given month, a good 10 to 20% of those are veterans, and many have not been signed up as veterans through any service until they've met people like Tony. And without this, they're left kind of in the dark. Well, we can talk about passing bills, building hospitals, and stuff like that. If we cannot find an immediate, soon solution to help these veterans in their homes who can't even get out of their homes to seek medical care, if someone doesn't come there, and one of my favorite things is rural medicine, if we can't get to their homes and treat them in their homes, then how are these people going to get care? Well, we can debate this forever about what site, how are we going to build it. These people need care now, and these veterans are in need very desperately. And it's one of my joys in my heart through my charity is helping them, one, as being a provider, and two, through the charity, helping them out where we can, such as organizations like here today.
Yeah, and you know, another thing, right, so along the way, we're picking up folks like Dr. Cregan here, right? We spoke about Dr. Akoma, who's been in this fight with us, taking care of our veterans for over 3.5 years, going on 4 now. We have Dr. Lighthizer that's been there. Now, Dr. Lighthizer's a veteran. Dr. Akoma's a veteran. And, you know, Dr. Cregan here is a veteran. But we also have non-veterans like Dr. Root, who's out there really supporting our veterans. And we got a lot of key pieces that we're starting to assemble here. And, you know, I don't know if folks are familiar with what veterans actually do and the way we've been trained and brought together to make something out of nothing. Yep. If we don't get the resources, we're going to do something. We're going to get what we can, and we're going to put it together. It's sad that I have to say that. If we have to be the ones to take care of ourselves, then, you know, maybe that's something that needs to start bringing some, you know, light and letting folks think about that for a second, right? You mean you got these poor veterans out here doing this on their own, you know, yeah. But yet, you know, there's supposed to be a resource somewhere to come and do this. In most stateside jurisdictions, right, and many people will say, well, you're not stateside, you're on Guam. Okay, then. So fix it any way you want. But they have folks that go out into the community, and the local veterans offices will subsidize whatever it is to get these people out to the veterans. Not the other way around where, oh, well, let's find a veteran to figure a way to come to us, right? They're supposed to find funding to say, look, we will subsidize this, get these people, get somebody out there and help them. We gotta meet the veteran, because it doesn't matter what programs we put together. If this program doesn't reach the veteran, it's of no value to any of us. The veteran is what all these services and all this funding revolves and is evolved around. It's the veteran. Exactly. If the veteran is gone, all this disappears. So if we stop thinking about all these processes, because I'll tell you what, when we decided we were going to send our folks out to, you know, Vietnam, to Korea, to the Gulf, and now we're starting to be the tip of the spear, we wasted no expense to get this, to build up billions and billions of dollars to get this war here on Guam, to be the tip of the spear, to be prepared so that when the war in the region happens, we're the people to deal with it. Exactly. Now when we say, what about our veterans? That seems to be an afterthought. And I have to share, these future veterans that are about to be deployed are looking back at us wondering, are they really taking care of our veterans? And if they're not taking care of our veterans, what kind of a message do we send to our future veterans? How do we get our enlistment rates up if we're not even able to care for those that came before us? I challenge these folks to get us a parking stall inside all of these bases. Veteran-only parking stall. I mean, that's something that might be a way for us to see whether Year of the Veteran is actually just a slogan. Right.
But it is happening, Anthony.
Okay.
So I did remind Anthony to bring this up, but I guess he didn't. So at our benefit boot camps that we hold every month, and they're free, by the way, veterans that are listening and friends and family of veterans and other veterans, our HMI benefit boot camps are free. So come and show up. We hold them every month. And Anthony reached out when we heard about the March 5th PACTEC expansion. Anthony reached out to the CBOC, and a lot of people are like, what does CBOC mean? Community-Based Outpatient Clinic is what it stands for. It's the building outside of Naval Hospital, which is the VA clinic. So Anthony reached out to them and said, hey, are you going to support the veterans? Can you support this? Can you handle this? So they said, hey, HMI, whatever outreach events that you are in, that you have, let us know and invite us, and we'll come. So now the CBOC comes, thanks Dr. McDermott and Celeste, they come to our benefit boot camp on the first day, and they register veterans into healthcare due to the March 5th expansion of the PACT Act. So veterans, if you have been exposed because you were deployed to any toxins or fuel or any exposure at home or deployed, you can apply for VA healthcare.
Okay, I'm sorry. I needed to just kind of tone down a little bit. Here's the thought.
And so it's adding to the numbers. That's why I wanted to bring it up, because Bobby talks about the numbers, right? We need the numbers, right?
Yes.
He said the numbers will, show people that, there are this many veterans here. But if the veterans don't register, if they don't, count, then how can we?
Yeah.
So little by little, we're getting the veterans.
Yeah, and
to register.
The numbers, the VA enrollment is basically what DVA is looking at a certain jurisdiction and saying, okay, well, what's the total hospital bed count? What's your total provider network? What's your et cetera? They have a formula, and they look at the numbers. And it's okay, well, Guam has 5,200 veterans enrolled. Well, it actually equates to the number of hospital beds between GMH, GRMC, and the Naval Hospital. They also look at the urgent care centers on Guam and where their coverage would be available. If our numbers are higher, we now have a really good argument saying, hey, listen, we have 10,000 enrollees, which means we don't have enough beds. Now we need a vet medical center. Now we need specialized care. Now we need AEC.
Okay.
Today they'll say, okay, well, if Anthony has a problem, we'll fly him to Hawaii for that specialized care.
Now, I know
maybe Anthony doesn't want to fly to Hawaii. Maybe he wants to stay here on Guam. Well, right now with 5,200, because they're not looking at what the Guam Veterans Office has in terms of registered numbers. Those are registered veterans, but not necessarily veteran enrollees under the VHA who will avail DVA's medical insurance program.
So Bobby, I think we talked about this one time, and I know I brought it up earlier talking to Dr. Cregan, that out in Chino, California, there are a smaller population than Guam, and they have a smaller population of veterans. Maybe that's a study that we need to look up also and apply that to Guam, because if they're able to do it with that smaller amount and get a brand spanking new,
this is all data driven.
Exactly.
And this is something we've only been in this role for the last 14 months.
Yeah.
I'm definitely trying to get as much data as possible so we could present it to the various cases, so we could increase. I think the first real step is going to try to be, and we're looking for an immediate type of response, is MOU to enhance the care within Naval Hospital. So veterans have additional access that is not just necessarily service connected.
There you go. And
there are a lot of grants out there for programs to help with mental health issues and suicide effects. There's a couple of entities that I've been talking to and encouraging them to apply.
Yes.
So that they can avail these funds, so they can enhance these these. And I think you and I had that conversation once this year. Is that your sister-in-law, Tony? That's with Westcare?
Yes, my sister, Sonia.
Yeah, your sister. Yeah, and I think I met with her too. There's another grant that came out last week.
Yeah.
And I shared it with Westcare saying, avail this. We'll give you a congressional letter of recommendation so we can help speed up the process. The more money we get out here for these organizations, the more they can provide the resources to the veterans. There's different avenues in how we can get some funding out here.
And I know you've been a big advocate for our veterans out here from your office, and I know we've been having quite a bit of back and forth of how to get things to where we need it, and you guys are responsive.
We do handle a good number of cases, constituent casework that vary in all types. I mean, there's no one specific concern, whether it's somebody seeking their documents, somebody seeking certain benefits. I mean, there isn't a day that doesn't go by where we have, and that's what this office is all about. And if any of the veterans are listening and you have, concerns on veterans issues.
Oh, and we send them to your office, Bobby. I even tell them what floor, where to park. Oh, and we have to take another break, Bobby. Are you going to stay online with us?
And we'll wrap up.
I have to be running soon.
Okay.
How long is the break?
Gosh,
Same
a few
as last
minutes. Oh, 1 minute, he said.
1 minute, we'll be back. Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Get ready to make waves at the event of the year. The Micronesian Conservation Coalition proudly presents the 3rd annual Ocean Gala, taking place Saturday, May 11th from 6 to 10 at the stunning Hyatt Regency Guam. Join us to celebrate our beautiful ocean and the tireless efforts of our community to preserve it. Dance the night away with live music, indulge in exquisite cuisine, and be inspired by our Starry Night celebration, honoring our ocean champions. Tickets are selling fast at $150 a head, or grab a table for 10 for just $1,400. WhatsApp or call 671-797-8445 with your interest. That's 671-797-8445. Special thanks to our generous sponsors, including Environmental Chemical Corporation, Bank of Guam, Future Smiles Orthodontics, Unitech Environmental Guam, Phoenix Jet, and Landscape Management Systems. Don't miss out. In the words of Vincent van Gogh, great things are done by a series of small things brought together.
And we're back. There are some online that I want to say hello to. So Monica Nanetti's online, Jessica, Gina Sunchin. Hello, Jean. Oh, no, Jesse Aquino. He says, I have a brother-in-law in California who's a Vietnam veteran. But when I asked him about getting his VA benefits, he just told me that the VA in California doesn't support the veterans. So sad. That's unfortunate.
Send him our way.
Anthony said send him our way.
Very unfortunate.
Yes. We'll take care of him. He's ours.
Yes. And I think we still have Bobby. So before the break, I was telling you, Bobby, that we send veterans to you all the time. I tell them where to park, what floor you're on, just knock on the door, sign in. And then if they don't go there, they're kind of, afraid to go there. I'm like, come on, just go there. They have an open door policy.
We welcome that. Thank you very much for saying that. And we do. I mean, that is a, a lot of people have a misperception of what a congressional office is all about. You have two key roles. One of them is for every major vehicle of legislation out there, you try to advocate as much funding opportunities for your district, or at least ensure that your district is getting adequate funding. Right? So that's your one responsibility. And your second responsibility is constituent work. And that's emphasized over and over again. And fortunately for us, folks have no problem coming here and asking. And every time I'm here in our district office versus DC, I notice the flow. There isn't a moment where there isn't someone in this office. And I would say about 60-70% of those coming in here are veterans. And we see it, right? And our job is to try to get you're never going to solve every case, but your job is to try to get as many answers as you can. And I want to commend our staff. Trina and the team out here, they do a wonderful job. And fortunately, we're closing a lot of these cases because we're getting these results. But yeah, please feel free. It's our responsibility and something that we're very proud to work on.
Sorry, Tony. Yeah, so we also have you coming in at our at our task force, and we have another meeting this Wednesday at 10.
It's on my calendar.
Okay, very good. And
Wednesday, right? It's Wednesday at what time?
10 o'clock.
10 a.m. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's going to be over at the committee chair's office, Senator St. Nicholas. And the good.
I will be there for a very short period, just giving you a heads up in advance.
All right.
Secretary of the Navy, Raven, who's that now assigned to
Bring him with you.
Chairman. No. He will not be there because he's going to that's the security. But we have a quick meeting with him. I have a quick meeting with him here in the office.
All right.
On things, but what I will be doing is I will be emphasizing to him getting his support on the veterans issues for Guam.
All right, so maybe I might get that parking stall after all.
Thanks,
private?
No, it's for all veterans.
Oh, okay.
It's the one we put on all the places out there. It's done by
Brian
Miranda and the VFW.
I
So
thought he wanted Tony on a
No.
parking spot.
He wants his own. He wants his own plate.
if I get a parking, everybody can park there.
That's right.
So we'll be fine. But yeah, we appreciate all these things you're doing over there and the responsiveness we're getting right now with your office and with you, right, Bobby? And we want to continue that. And you know, we'll let you close out just a minute here or two with final words. And we could always get you back on here, So
Absolutely.
when you find some time, you and the congressman come back on, and we'll also try to get Dr. Krieg in here to get on his own time. But the two of you are very busy, so we have to share.
That's what happened, Bobby. We double booked you guys because I was like, wait, they're both going to be on. They both said yes because you guys are both busy. So it was a hard time trying to get both of you on.
They've been both running from us because their schedules, and now we got both of them at the same time.
That's okay, though. That's okay. We'll
great.
have them both back on.
It's my honor to share the time with him.
All right.
Yes.
As long as we can
Yeah,
remember
same
that
here. It was an honor. Yeah.
veterans are not an interruption of our day.
They're
They're the
yes.
purpose of it.
That's great. That's good to hear.
So
Anyway, so any last words there, Bobby, before we let you go?
No, I want to say, first of all, thank you, Tony and Tarita, for having, not only for just having this particular talk show, but also for everything you do for veterans.
Oh, wow.
I think what's important is, I've said this numerous times, it's going to take a community effort to address all these problems. And it's good to see organizations like yours and some of these others that are out there
Yes.
Working collectively. There is no one solution. And I think, Tony, you and I have had this conversation
That's
too
right.
many times where I'm like, dude, I'm like, I talked to someone for an hour, and I'm at the end of the hour, I'm like, okay, so what was the problem? You don't know the problem.
No, or you should have led with the problem.
Yeah. And so what we want to do is, of course, get as much data as we can so we can take it back there. Yes, there are challenges, but I mean, not that this is, you mentioned something about one of the viewers talked about their relatives in California.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I won't lie. This problem with timelines, the problem with veterans and outreach, it's a problem throughout the nation.
Oh,
In
yes.
fact, when we brought up the timelines issue, and it was an unacceptable average for Guam with an average of 7 months. Nationwide, it was 6. And when we were seeking support from our colleagues on a congressional letter, you had a number of them who said, I'm going directly to DVA to argue this thing because it's unacceptable. So it's a national problem.
Right.
But we're focused on Guam, and we're focused on.
There you go.
We were told they've increased the number of providers. When I get back, I have another briefing with the DVA on these things, and it's a litany of things. But I want to say the work is never over, and like Dr. Keegan said, when it comes to veterans, we can't stop, and we need to continue.
Yep.
And we will continue.
Yes, and nobody's.
And with that, I want to say thank you for giving me an opportunity to, and I will always make myself available if I can
Yes.
to join you guys again.
All right.
For the next show.
Thank you, and thank you to the congressman and to your office and the hard work you guys do.
And we'll see you on Wednesday.
Yes, sir.
I will see you on Wednesday. Thank
All
you
right.
very much.
All right. Good night.
Thanks, Bobby.
Okay.
Good night.
All right. Now we have the doctor all to ourselves for 3 minutes, and then we shut down. Well, I mean, wasn't that great to be able to hear some of the things that go on outside of Guam, and it's rather interesting when we think about these things because a lot of times the things that we're trying to get done here are far away where decisions are being made.
Absolutely.
And And these kind of speak to what we're really used to this before, because anytime they send us on a mission, most of the higher-ups are out getting the resources to send to us. A lot of times it takes a while before it gets to the ground troops, but at the end of the day, the ground troops understand and make things happen depending on where they're at and what information they're fed. If you cut off any communication to them, they're left to their own devices.
Oh, yeah,
but
that's true.
If you're feeding them the information, hey, it's going to be about a month, right? A week from now, you know what? There's a little holdup over here. It might take a little bit longer. Here it's coming. Okay, it looks like it's sped up. It might be on time. Get ready. Here it comes. Now you have it. Okay, have at it. Go, right? So I think that's one of the issues we're having here is flow of information. And that's one thing at our task force that we're trying to work on, right? This task force is not it's not a sanction. It's a group of all the different veterans, organizations, and people coming in and saying, hey, what is it that we need to do? One of the things was we wanted to push for the commission to get that advertisement out so they can get up and running, which they did, but now they're waiting on the next meeting. But end of the day, it's been a year. We're still here. The commission isn't all the way up, and we're hoping that we can get them to be up and doing the things they need to do. But while that's going on, we still got to do our part.
And so now I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Cregan
Yes.
so he can talk about the services you offer, the insurances that you take, and talk about your house calls and you being a care in the community provider.
Like I said, one of the favorite things I like to do is actually do rural medicine. And rural medicine is actually can be anywhere from somebody, in our case, miles away. They don't have addresses, they don't have street numbers or street signs, but we find them somehow delivered the care that we need to. It's easy to drive to a clinic and be able to be seen, but somebody at home where they don't have a caregiver, they live at home, and they can't get somebody to get their medicines to them. They cannot get food to them sometimes, and it's our job to be able, whether it be veteran, whether it be regular patient, we have to be able to get the care to them, and that's the highest priority, is delivering the care. Like I said before, we can talk about building buildings, but we still have to make the highest priority delivering of the care.
Yeah.
And yes, in 2008, I started my charity, but what we focused on is rural medicine in countries like Guyana, South America, Grenada, Cuba, Haiti. We've went to places like this, but we do that through private donations to our charity, but we support it with writing like children's books and things like this. And when they buy the book, 100% of everything we do goes directly to the charity.
Okay.
And we don't pick one group to service, not veterans, not civilians, but everybody that's in need. And that's who we focus on, those in need. And we don't take $1 from the entire thing. We haven't since 2008. And we've sold over 100,000 copies of that particular book. And that's what's delivered medical care in somewhere around 9 states and about 20 countries right now.
What's the name of the book?
Last one was Polly the Alligator Wore Tennis Shoes.
And where can they get it?
Amazon Prime, and we should have a book signing next month.
All right.
Man, thank you, Dr. Cregan.
You're welcome.
So we'll have you on definitely again,
Thank
so you
you.
can talk more in detail. But that's all we have. That was a really great show.
Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you for coming
Thank
on.
you,
Thanks
everyone.
for all you do, too.
And we'll see you guys
Ross.
next week with Phil Santos, Armed Forces Committee.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
The Point is KUSG, Hagåtña, Guam, 93.3 FM and 104.3 HD3.
Trying to work out a deal in the Middle East. I'm Ted Lindner, Fox News. The Secretary of State back in the Middle East as the warring parties in Gaza try ceasefire talks again. Fox's Jonathan Savage with the latest.
Antony Blinken is in Saudi Arabia today to discuss Gaza's future after the war between Israel and Hamas comes to an end. Medics in Gaza say at least 20 Palestinians were killed in the latest Israeli airstrikes. This as Hamas officials hold talks with mediators in Egypt following a proposal from Israel to phase in a truce. The Secretary of State will go to Israel later this week. There, he'll remind Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of the concrete steps President Joe Biden is demanding to improve the humanitarian situation in Gaza. Jonathan Savage, Fox News.
Meantime, pro-Palestinian protests led to more arrests this weekend on college campuses.